Sarah Miller stepped into the interview room wearing a simple navy blazer that had seen better days, a plain white blouse, and sensible flats that made no sound on the polished floor. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, her face free of makeup except for a touch of lip balm. She carried a worn leather portfolio, its edges soft from years of use. The moment she entered, something changed in the air. The three executives exchanged glances, quick, sharp looks that carried judgment without a single word. Richard Peorter, the director, was the first to speak. "Are you lost?" he asked. "The janitorial interviews are on the second floor." The Pinnacle Industries headquarters stretched toward the sky, all glass and steel, a monument to success in the heart of downtown. Inside, the executive floor gleamed with marble floors, modern art, and the quiet hum of wealth. The interview room offered a stunning view of the city, skyscrapers catching the morning light, tiny cars moving far below like toys. Around the long mahogany table sat three people dressed to impress. Richard Peorter wore a suit, his silver tie clip catching the light with every gesture. Elaine Winters, the marketing VP, draped in a designer dress that probably cost more than Sarah's monthly rent, tapped long manicured nails against her tablet screen. James Davidson, the finance executive, checked his expensive watch, sighing loudly to show his time was precious. The room smelled of coffee, leather, and expensive cologne. Fresh flowers stood in a crystal vase worth more than most people's weekly grocery bill. Everything screamed success and status. Sarah sat quietly in that chair, her worn portfolio placed neatly in front of her. Her clothes were clean and pressed, but simple. No designer labels, no flash, nothing to mark her as part of their world. Just a woman who took care with what she had. "Let's get this over with," James said, not bothering to look up from his phone. "I have a golf game at noon." "So," Richard began, flipping through Sarah's with barely concealed boredom. "You worked at Miller Consulting for 15 years. "Yes," Sarah answered, her voice calm and clear. "I built the company from the ground up." Elaine snorted. "Built is a strong word for a regional firm with, 20 employees?" Sarah corrected gently. "And you sold it last year?" James asked, finally glancing up. "For what, a few $100,000? Barely enough for a decent vacation home." Sarah didn't correct him. She sat still, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes steady. Richard leaned forward, his smile short. "And now you want to join the big leagues? At Pinnacle Industries? With no corporate experience?" "I believe my skills would transfer well," Sarah said. Elaine took out her phone, angling it slightly. The camera click was loud in the quiet room. Sarah glanced up, questioning. "Sorry," Elaine said, "not sorry at all. Just documenting today's unique applicant." James laughed. "That blazer must have been quite the find at Goodwill." "Oh, be nice," Elaine said, her voice dripping with fake kindness. "Not everyone can afford proper business attire." Richard turned to his computer, typing as he spoke. "Tell me, Ms. Miller, how exactly do you see yourself fitting in at a company like Pinnacle? Our executives attend galas, meet with international clients, image matters here." With each question, their tone grew sharper, their eyes colden. Sarah answered each one with quiet dignity, even as James checked his watch repeatedly, even as Elaine texted ending the table, even as Richard barely bothered to hide his smirk. Richard pushed his chair back suddenly. "You know what? Let's try something different." He pulled out his wallet, extracting a bill. "Why don't you show us some initiative? Go down to the coffee shop in the lobby and get us all drinks." Sarah's eyebrow rose slightly. "Is this part of the interview process?" "Considering it a test," Elaine added with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Show us how well you follow instructions." "I'll take a vanilla latte with an extra shot." "Americano, black," James said without looking up. "And don't take forever." Richard slid the 20 across the table. "Triple espresso. Keep the change as a consolation prize." As Sarah stood up, Richard turned to Elaine. "At least she'll make a decent coffee runner." Elaine laughed, not bothering to lower her voice. "Better than putting her in front of clients. Can you imagine?" James added, "With that wardrobe, we'd lose accounts." Sarah paused at the door, her back straight, her head high. She didn't turn around, didn't show anger. She simply walked out, the door closing softly behind her. $10 says she doesn't come back, Richard said, spinning in his chair. 20 says she cries in the elevator, Ellen countered. They left, the sound short and ugly in the beautiful room. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Probably got lost, James heft, checking his watch again. Eeyore took the money and ran. The door opened. Sarah stepped in, without coffee, her face calm. Instead of heading to her previous seat, she walked to the head of the table and sat down. The chair, larger than the others, usually reserved for the CEO, creaked slightly as she sat it in. "Excuse me," Richard said, his voice sharp with annoyance. "That's not your seat. And where's the coffee?" Sarah placed her portfolio on the table, opening it slowly. "I decided against getting coffee." "Then I'll need my $20 back," Richard said, holding out his hand. Sarah looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time. Her eyes were clear and direct, holding his gaze until he was the one who looked away. "No," she said simply. "I don't think I will." Elaine's mouth fell open. James sat up straighter, phone forgotten. Richard's face flushed an angry red. "Who do you think you are?" he demanded. Sarah smiled. Not a big smile, just the corners of her mouth lifting slightly. "That," she said, "is an excellent question." Sarah pulled a business card from her portfolio and slid it across the table. Richard picked it up, frowning. His face changed as he read it, confusion, then disbelief, then a horror. "This can't be right," he whispered. "What is it?" Ellen asked, grabbing for the card. Her perfectly manicured nails froze as she read the name. Sarah Carmichael Miller, CEO and majority shareholder in Pinnacle Industries. "That's impossible," James said, snatching the card. "The CEO is Robert Carmichael." "My father," Sarah said, nodding. "Who retired last month and transferred his shares to me." "But the board would have announced." Richard stuttered. "The board doesn't know yet," Sarah said, her voice still calm. "Today was supposed to be the announcement. But first, I wanted to see the company from the inside. See how people behaved when they thought no one was watching." Elaine's face had gone white. "This was a test." "Yes," Sarah said. "And you all failed." She pressed a button on the table. The door opened and a woman in a short suit entered, tablet in hand. "Jennifer," Sarah said, "would you please pull up the security footage from this room for the last 30 minutes? Jennifer nodded, tapping her tablet. The large screen on the wall flickered to life, showing the interview in perfect detail. Every sneer, every laugh, every cruel comment. "I've seen enough," James said quickly, trying to stand. "Sit down, Emma Davidson," Sarah said, her voice still quiet but carrying an unmistakable authority. "We're not finished yet." "Let me explain something," Sarah said, looking at each of them in turn. "I built Miller Consulting from nothing. Started in my garage with one computer. Grew it slowly, carefully, hiring people who shared my values. Last year, I sold it not for a few $100,000 but for $1 million. Richard swallowed hard. James stared at his hands. Ellen looked like she might be sick. "I bought controlling interest in Pinnacle because I saw potential. But today I've seen something else, a toxic culture that starts at the top." "Ms. Carmichael, Miller, please," Richard began, his voice wheedling. "This was just a misunderstanding." "Actually," Sarah said, "this was clarifying. This company needs change." She turned to Jennifer. "Please call security. Mr. Porter needs to be escorted from the building. His access is revoked, effective immediately." "You can't fire me," Richard protested, rising from his chair. "I've been here 15 years. "And in those 15 years," Sarah said, "how many qualified people did you turn away because they didn't look the part? How many careers did you destroy with your prejudice?" As security arrived, Sarah turned to James and Ellen. "You two have a choice. You can leave now, with your reputation somewhat intact. Or you can prove to me, over the next 3 months, that you can change. This company will be different going forward," Sarah said, watching as Richard was led away. "We'll judge people by their character, their skills, their potential, not by their clothes or their connections." Ellen, tears streaming down her face, nodded. "I am sorry. I'll do better." James stood, straightening his jacket. I'll have my resignation on your desk this afternoon. Sarah looked up at him. Are you sure? Everyone deserves a second chance. Not me, he said quietly. Not after today. You've shown me something about myself that I don't like. I need to fix that first. Sarah nodded. I respect that decision. 1 year later, Pinnacle Industries hosted an open house. Employees from all levels mingled together, sharing ideas over coffee and pastries. The walls that once displayed expensive art now showcased employee achievements and community projects. Sarah, dressed simply but with quiet confidence, moved through the crowd, stopping to chat with everyone from executives to maintenance staff. The company's profits had increased by 30%. Employee turnover had dropped to an all-time low. Ellen approached, carrying 2 coffee cups. Gone were the flashy designer clothes, replaced by a simple, professional outfit. Your coffee, Sarah, she said, offering one cup. Thank you, Ellen, Sarah said, accepting it with a smile. How's the mentorship program going? Wonderful, Ellen said, her face lighting up. 20 new hires from backgrounds we never would have considered before. Their fresh perspectives are exactly what we needed. As the sun set over the city, Sarah looked out over the company she had transformed. Not through flashy changes, but through the simple power of respect and kindness. The simple woman who had been left out of an interview had changed not just a company, but the lives of everyone in it. And somewhere across town, James Davidson was doing the same at his new, helping people from disadvantaged backgrounds prepare for job interviews. His most common piece of advice: remember, no matter what they say to you, keep your dignity. You never know who might actually be in charge.